log in right now. So welcome to this morning's webinar with Kathy Edmondson and Cheryl Sutcliffe. We're going to be talking about affordable housing lending update. Before we get started, though, I want to remind everybody, be sure to nominate someone who's deserving to be recognized for all their hard work for our awards nomination coming up. It has been extended till September the 30th. So please get your nominations in and go to www.nsdcar.com if you'd like more information. So now we're going to turn the webinar over to Cheryl and Kathy.
Thank you so much. My name is Cheryl Sutcliffe. I'm with Prime Lending. Manufactured homes are my thing. About 70% of my business is manufactured homes. And Kathy Edmondson is here with me as well. Kathy and I make a great team because I do manufactured homes on land with the traditional type of loans. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, VA. And Kathy is going to tell you what she does, but when it falls out of that, basically that parameter is when I refer that off to Kathy. So we have 35 of our 80 people here, and we all know that y'all don't necessarily have your clocks dinging at you right away. So we were going to have the chat open, and Brenda, nice to see you. And so feel free, as we are doing our presentation, to use the chat box. What Kathy and I would like to do is, rather than interrupt our presentations in answering questions, we will hold the questions till the end and then answer all of them specifically, whether they're to Kathy or to me or to both of us, and we're happy to do that. So, you know, like, get your little keyboard ready, because I'm pretty sure that as we go through this, you're going to have a bunch of questions, because that's always the case. So we love questions. Questions are the best way to get answers to you quickly. And we're here to help you. We are here to get your buyers into homes. And yes, this is the true affordable living in San Diego County and the surrounding, well, shoot, all of California. So with that, it's 10:04. Let's see, Jane, when you say on land, does that include homes in parks that are owned in condos? That is correct. So as long as it is fee simple land ownership, that's what I can do. And I'll explain that more fully when I get into my portion of the presentation. And so good question though, Jane. And let's see, we're about up to half of the people that we're planning to come in. It's 10:05. What say you? Should we just let them miss this? Oh, they can go back and do it later. Hey, Shirley, can you hit record? And then, and let's all shut our phones off, huh? Whoops. Okay, so my phones are off. Kathy, I'm going to share the screen, and you're up, girl.
Okay, sounds good. I'm Kathy. I own Mobile Home Loans for You. I do loans in all of California, not just San Diego County. So everything I do is going to be mobile or manufactured. And yes, Cheryl and I refer things back and forth. If I can see that it's FHA approved in a park, you know, permanent foundation, I send them to Cheryl. She has lower rates than I do for regular mobile and manufactured homes, and she's got a longer term. I've been doing real estate since 1999, so I've been licensed. I'm a broker, a realtor, and a loan officer. I've been doing mobile and manufactured home loans for 9.5 years now, and welcome everybody. So Mobile Home Loans for You. Go ahead and click the next screen for me. Okay, so here's just some basic mobile and manufactured home basic information. I can lend on things 1960 all the way to 2019 brand new. And I know some of the new 2020 models are already out there, so we can lend on those also. Now we can lend on credit as low as 620 and putting down as low as 5%. So if you have a 620 credit score, no recent lates in the last 12 months, no recent bankruptcies or foreclosures in the last 5 years, your client is probably going to be eligible for a 5% down payment. I do purchase loans, refinances, and buy for loans. And we'll get into later what buy for loans are because it's a little bit more complicated than regular purchases. Our terms are going to be 20 or 23 years. We do not go 30 like Cheryl can, but there is an exception to that rule. If you have a client who has a brand new home, never lived in, never titled, and the loan is $100,000 or more, I can get you a 25-year loan. That's the one exception. I've got one lender that will do that for us. And now interest rates, it could be as low as 5.75% with excellent credit, putting down 5%, and excellent credit 700 and plus. We can finance them for 20 years. And then of course, again, the brand new homes, you know, never lived in, never titled, we can do a 25-year. Give you a low credit score, I can finance people 570, 580, but they're going to require 35% down. And you know, you can always refinance these later if the home is 1977 and newer. I can go to my other two lenders to do that. Now, these loans never have a prepayment penalty. So if you pay it off early for any reason, you refinance it, make extra payments, you can always do that. PMI or MIP, what's that? We don't even have it. You can put 5% down. We just don't have it in our industry for my lenders. Cash out refinances are a little different for us. What they base it on is not the current market value, which I wish they would change. They do it based on the original purchase price at 65%. They want you to have at least a 640 net credit score to refinance to get a cash out refinance. But if it's just rate and term, we're fine there. We don't have to worry about that. Okay, W-2 employees, what you need to send in. One recent pay stub, and then your 2018 and 19 W-2s. I never need tax returns if you're just a straight W-2 employee. The only time I'm really going to need tax returns is if you show income like alimony or if you have rental income. Then we're going to need to see your full tax returns for 2018 and 19. Social Security, disability, and pension. We're always going to need to see your 2020 award letters, and they're really particular about this. They don't want to see one back in the day from 2009 when you first went on it, something dated 2020. And then we need your 2018 and 19 1099s if it's Social Security, non-taxable, or a W-2 if it's pension. We also need to have one recent bank statement, all pages, showing those deposits on your current bank statement. If you're self-employed, it's a little bit more paperwork there. Last 2 years, federal tax returns from 2018 and 2019, all pages, all schedules, signed and dated. We're also going to need a 2020 profit and loss statement and a current 2020 profit and loss statement year-to-date plus a balance sheet. So not a lot of paperwork, but definitely some to get you pre-approved. The one thing that some realtors like about me a lot and some don't like a lot is I don't do pre-quals. I do a pre-qual over the phone to see if your client is eligible, if they're going to qualify based on what they're telling me. I'm not going to write a letter on an approval until it goes through underwriting where I have an approval from the lender. And that does take 2 or 3 business days, but honestly, in my mind, it helps everyone. You're not writing letters, you know, just to write letters to say that they're approved. You know they are, they have a loan in place. It's better for the agents, for the sellers, and the buyer. No surprises there. So, okay, we're talking about down payments again. 1960 to 2019, we could definitely do 5% down. Back in the day, we couldn't. We had to do 35% down if they were pre-HUD, 1960 to 1976. They changed that about a year ago now. So now we can do 5% down for the older houses too. So that really opens up a lot of housing for people that wanted to buy just because it was a pre-HUD. Second homes, we're going to require 20% down with good credit, still at least 620 and up, Experian credit score. Buy for a loan, which we're going to go into more later. But if you're buying it for someone else and you're not living in it as your primary resident, they're going to ask for 20% down. If you had a recent bankruptcy, a foreclosure, or a short sale, they are going to ask for 20% down if it's been within the last 5 years. If it's more than 5 years, you might still be eligible for 5% down. Credit scores under 600, or if you have no credit score, you're definitely going to be looking at 35% down. Okay, requirements for pre-approval. We kind of have the same kind of ratios you're going to have for a regular loan for the most part. 31% or less can be used for your principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and space rent combined. But it's got to have the space rent in there too. So I know a lot of people are like, well, I got to approve for a whole lot more for a conventional loan. Yes, because remember, they don't have a space rent. Number one. Number two, the length is going to be longer. Most of my loans are 20 or 23 years, not 30. And the other one is, we're looking at interest rates, in the threes, easily, sometimes in the twos, and we're not going to be like that for mobile and manufactured. Just make sure they fill out the application completely, and I put this on every welcome email and application I sent out. We definitely need to make sure we have their marital status on there, how many dependents they have under the age of 18. So if you have someone living with you as 22, 23, not a dependent, you choose to take care of them. So just put down how many you have and their ages. And we're looking for your current monthly rent for payment shock mostly. So just put your current monthly rent down so we can see if it's a big jump for you or not. A lot of times it's actually even better. People are paying $2,500 or more to rent something, and they're getting into a mobile or manufacturer for $2,000 a month. So a lot of times it's actually less. So our down payment does not need to be seasoned, but one day, basically. If you put something into the bank and it shows pending that night, and at midnight, you wake up the next morning at 8 o'clock and it says not pending, we're good to go. We don't have to have it seasoned. And the down payment can come from several sources. It can come from savings, which is preferred, 401k. It could be a gift from a family or a friend. And just remember, it could be all of it. It could be the entire down payment. So if grandma wants to give you $40,000 for your down payment and your down payment's $40,000, you can take all of it and use it for your down payment. Child support and alimony can be used as long as it continues for a minimum of 3 years. It has to be court ordered, court stamped, and continue for at least 3 years. And we have to show proof that you've already received it for 12 months. So if you just started getting it, we're probably not going to be able to use it until you can show you've received it for 12 months. Okay, tips for listing your manufactured home. Just make sure you get a copy of the HC title, which is basically the title for the manufactured home. It's going to have things on it like the year and the make, the length, the width, the serial numbers, and the decal number. All those are important because you want to put those on 1F of the mobile home purchase agreement. So make sure you have those, especially the decal number. The decal is important because that's how escrow is going to pull your HCD title search for you. Okay, make sure that you have the space rent per month. Now, a lot of people, well, not a lot, not as many now. If you talk to your client, you're doing a listing for them, and they say, hey, my space rent's $500, check with the park manager. Because if they've lived there for a long time, their space rent for the incoming person at current market value is not going to be $500. It could be $800, $900 or more. So you want to make sure that you have the space rent right. Make sure you talk to the park manager. This is a benefit to you too. Go in there and let them know it's going to be for sale so they can list it on there for sale and pendings, because when people come to the park, they're going to show them all of the houses for sale and give out your information as well in most cases. As soon as you get an accepted purchase agreement, as soon as you get it, you need to go to the park. Get their application. They typically do a first interview with you. They explain all the park rules, the regulations, what financials they need, and about the time it's going to take for them to get you pre-approved for the park. Right now with COVID, we are not doing any approvals until we have park approval, and we've cleared all income, which means the verification of income employment has come back from their employer, and then we have that most recent pay stub. So it's important that you get park approval started. Some of them I've seen in one day. That's going to be the unicorn. I'm telling you right now. Some parks could be, 2-3 weeks until you get park approval. So make sure they go in right away. And then verify, your fur babies, make sure they can live with you there. Some of them will not allow it unless they're a service dog. They're looking for smaller sizes. So just make sure that you actually can move with your entire family. If the park's a senior park, make sure what kind of a senior park it is. Some are strictly 55 and plus. Every single person living there has to be 55. Then they have the 45-55 rule, where at least one person has to be 55 and then everybody else has to be 45 years or older. Then they have the 18-55, where one person's 55 and then everyone else has to be 18 or older. So basically no children, no minors. Okay, timeline for getting approval. Now, right now, and it's been for quite a while, it takes 2 to 3 business days to get an answer back. Once in a great while, we'll get a turnaround in 24 hours, but we're not direct underwriting. We can't just plug everything in like some people can, like, you know, if you went to UWM or somewhere, they have that really quick, you get it back. We don't have that. It has to go through, you know, be input it in the system, pulling credit, sending it to the lender, and being in line. So typically it does take a little bit longer. But now if you're doing a home switch, let's say you applied in a certain home and you changed your mind, you found a different one or the one you wanted sold. All you have to do is fill out a quick form. It's a home switch form that has all the information on about the house. And that usually takes about 24 hours. And we get that back or less. These loans are taken 30 to 35 days to close from the time that you give me a signed purchase agreement. That's going to trigger everything that we're going to do. Getting the loan packet back to you, me coordinating with the clients to get 3 months current bank statements, a recent pay stub after the approval date, me or my processor sending out the verification of employment to their employers, them sending back driver's license, social security cards. And then, of course, as soon as all that's cleared, the appraisal gets set up. Now, for us, unless it's landed home, which goes on a credit card form, they're going to pay them at the time of the appraisal, or they can pay with a credit card over the phone. But if they come over there and you haven't got it paid for, the appraiser will leave and say, thank you, have a nice day. So make sure, and I always tell everybody, make sure it's paid for. So as far as my closing cost, many of them are financed into the loan. There's only 3 that you can't. The appraisal, the first year's taxes, and the first year's insurance. And that's because they're going to set those up for your impound accounts. The other costs that can be financed are going to be the processing fee, the lender's fee, the AC title search, the flood cert, and the escrow cost. So they're going to finance most of your closing costs. So I've seen many loans lately when you're putting down 5%, that your actual loan amount's slightly larger than the purchase price is. So that's a helpful thing for people. Okay, timeline for getting everything back. Once we get everything back and we work on getting the appraiser sent out, the loan packet back, we're still looking at 30 to 40 days. Now, as far as loan doc goes, let's say we have everything cleared and my processor submits your loan docs request. It's usually taking 2 to 4 business days to get loan docs in escrow. Ours is a little bit backwards from other loans. We go ahead and get loan docs in, they sign them, and then escrow packages them up, sends them FedEx back to the lender. Once the lender has them for 3 business days, then we close. We don't issue a CD unless we have land and home. And those are few and far between for me because most of what I do is lease land. Okay. Okay, a buy-for loan. Okay, a buy-for loan is basically someone buying a home for someone else and they're not living in it as their primary residence. So the person applying is going to be on the loan, Untitled, and the lease agreement. The occupant is only on the lease agreement. Now there is a new rule to this. If the park will write on park letterhead that it's mandatory that one of the people living in the house be on the title, then we could add 1 extra person. Otherwise, the person living in the home, the occupant, will not be on there. So this is going to require 20% down. Plus the park has to acknowledge that they know the person's not living in the home as their primary resident and their family member or whoever is. And they're going to sign 2 forms, basically 1 park approval form saying they're park approved, and the second one saying they know it's a buy-for. Now buy-fors are typically, well, it goes both ways. It could be, let's say, an older parent who's on Social Security, pension, limited income, whereas they have decent credit or maybe their credit's not good, but they can't qualify by themselves. So their child who has, great income and can afford 2 payments, their own mortgage and theirs, they'll put 20% down and buy a house for mom and dad. And that's how they can get in as a buy-for loan. Okay, the purchase agreements. Okay, so the only real difference on the purchase agreement from a regular one, and I really hope you guys use this one because otherwise you're going to be doing an addendum. And that's fine if it happens. 1F's got to be filled out completely. We want the year and the make of the home. We don't care about the model, the length and width, serial numbers. If it's a single wide, 1, double wide, 2, triple wide, 3, and on. Decal numbers. We're going to want to have that on there because it's easier for escrow just to pull title for us. But make sure you have that filled out completely. So I guess that's my part of it. If you need anything, let me know. 1-800-520-3191. My cell phone number is on there as well. I prefer communication either by phone or by email. I'm on the phone 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. I work a little bit on Saturdays, so leave me a message. Close on Sunday. And if you guys need anything, just give me a call, send me an email.
I'm unmuted.
Okay.
So there's a few questions here. Kathy, can you do loans for people with ITINs?
Unfortunately, I cannot, and I really wish they would change that because there are so many people that have I-10s, or one couple, one has an I-10, one doesn't, and we need both incomes to get them to qualify. Keep it hoping that's going to change. 21st Mortgage tried that for a little bit, and we had a lot of problems with that. And the reason for that is because people lend out their social security numbers to people. So the I-10 people are working on a social security number that's not theirs because their friend lent it to them so they could get a job. And although I understand why that happens, because you know you have to work, well, now all their W-2s have a social security number different from their I-10, so it wasn't matching up.
All right, and then Tyson has a question. Do we still need 30 days for loan approval?
Well, not loan approval per se. Loan approval is usually done in 21 days, but it usually takes 30 to 40 days to close because we need time to order loan docs, get the client in to sign the loan docs, get them back to the lender. Once they have them for 3 business days, then we can close.
All right, I am going to give Brenda what she has asked for here, which is the page that shows the interest rates again.
Okay.
And with that, I can no longer see the chat. So you can, Kathy, you want to?
I actually can't see the chat. I haven't been able to see it yet. They just pop up to me once in a while, but they do start as low as 5.75%, putting down 20% down with excellent credit. And the highest I've seen is 13.2%. But the average person, let's say with a 620 to 660 credit score, is going to be between 9 and 10% for 23 years. So a lot of my people, 80% what I do is going to be 21st Mortgage. And then excellent credit, 700 plus. I can go to Credit Human or Triad.
Super. Let's see. So we have, now I have to. Next question, interest rate, 30 days. How many people can be on your application? Good question, David.
Okay. He's trying to participate from the other room because I threw him out. So yeah. Hi, David. So you can have up to 3 people on an application for 2 of my lenders. Triad will only let you do 2. 21st Mortgage will let you do 3, and so will Credit Human. So that's the max is 3. So if I have 4 people, I pick the best of the 3 to put on the loan to make sure they qualify in credit-wise to get the best interest rate.
And then Abra asked, what are your points and or loan origination fees?
Well, 2 of them, they're not going to have any points per se. So Credit Human, nothing at all. They don't even charge a flat fee. Triad charges a $7.99 flat fee. Those 2 companies pay me lender pay, so they're never going to see points in origination. Now, 21st Mortgage, totally different. They charge 3.75% processing fee for the base loan amount and 1% lender fee. So basically, 4.75% is going to be charged to your client for either processing or for lender fees. But the good thing is they can wrap those into the loan. They're all financeable, so they don't have to pay for them out of pocket.
So that sounds to me like I think you had indicated at the end, Kathy, that a 95% loan to value can end up being over 100% once you roll everything into it. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I did a few of those last week.
Are they allowed to also put the title and escrow charges or just the lender charges?
Oh no, all of it. So what they can finance is the $8 flood cert, that proves that they're not in a flood zone or proves that they are. The lender fee, the processing fee, the escrow fees, and the HCD title fees. So all of that is financed into the loan for 21st mortgage. And just so you
Okay,
guys know, I think it's important for you guys to find someone that you click with as a loan officer, because there's not much there's no competition in rate, absolutely none for us. We all get the same rates, the same terms, the same closing costs from all 3 lenders that we work with in California. So don't have your client go around applying at 3 or 4 different people and get the same approval, because you will, because they can't give me a better approval than they gave to a competitor of mine. So just, talk to people, make sure you like them, make sure that you want to work with them and stick with them, because you're not going to get a better rate. Same decision.
so what I'm hearing is, although they have other options to like maybe reach out to 21st Mortgage directly, they're not going to get a better rate, better underwriting programs, anything like that if they go directly to 21st.
They're not going to, definitely they're going to get the same rate charged by 21st, the same points, the same origination, everything will be the same. And the only disadvantage for 21st Mortgage going directly is the time difference. You're going to be 3 hours different. They're 3 hours ahead of us. So they're going to be closed all the time when you get off of work, and you'd have to be calling at 5 o'clock in the morning to get them at 8 a.m. So it can work as a benefit. It's not. There's some mornings I wake up early, just check my emails from them and see what's up there. And if it's, if I have to take care of it, I do it. If not, I go back to sleep. But that's 3 hours that you don't have to deal with that I can do that for you. So if you want to sleep in, use someone in California.
Nice. I have a question on your buy-for loan. Is that only for a family member, or can this be a true investment property?
Well, that's not an investment property, but it's a buy for that. It's an investment property. It's a separate thing. But I do have a quick story. I got a new application this week, and they're very well off people, which is great. They have a nanny that they're buying a manufactured home for. So they're buying the nanny at home, and they got approved for it. So it doesn't have to be a family member. I also had a boss one time just buy his regular employee one. Long-term employee was looking to get retired, and he wanted to take care of her. So he basically bought her a house.
Wow. So there's a little flexibility there. It's not intended to be a moneymaker for them, is what I'm hearing.
And also, I think the agents need to be aware, and the clients, you want to come at the park manager as not, this is an investment property, because they have their numbers there too. Make sure they know it's not an investment property. My mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, my uncle, or whatever will be living in the home, because they don't want to see investment properties. And why is that? Because they think if it's an investment, people living there won't take as well care of the home and the yard as they would if they owned it. So.
Got it. So Greg asked a question. So there are only 3 lenders for manufactured mobile homes in California in a park?
That's who I work with. I don't know of anybody else that will do leased land. Those are the 3 that I work with.
Okay. And does using your service cost the borrower more than going direct to the lender?
No, not at all. And I don't charge an upfront fee either. I know some people do, but I do not. You don't pay an application fee. You don't pay a credit fee at all. So to get started and to see where you're at and get an approval, it doesn't cost you anything.
Nice.
But your time.
Very good. Are there any other burning questions here, people, or are we moving on? And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're moving on. So Kathy, thank you. That was really informative, and it's easier for me after asking those kind of questions to be able to refer you better clients too. And so now I will not be able to see the chat while I'm doing my presentation, and so we'll handle any questions that do come up after Greg Schwab's when I complete my presentation. So here we go.
Thank you.
And you bet. Thanks, Kathy. So can you see my screen, Kath?
I can see your screen. Manufactured home, Cheryl Sutcliffe.
That's me. So yes, I have just so many inquiries. So every single day, I probably get 10 or more buyers and realtors calling me. I've never done this before. I'm considering buying a manufactured, they call it mobile home. I don't know what I need to know. And so what I love about prime lending, and I've been here now 3.5 years, and I was with Wells Fargo prior to that, is that prime lending is committed to the manufactured home market here in California. It's the perfect size, the perfect price point for those first-time home buyers as well as the end-life home buyers. And so don't miss this out. This is an excellent opportunity for you to be able to assist your buyers in getting into a home of their own to finish out their life. I do a lot of rescue me deals, and I was telling Kathy before we started today, I have another save a deal going on where a realtor thought that she would be able to write on a regular RPA, and she would fool U.S. Bank into lending a jumbo loan on a manufactured home. And so unfortunately, the buyer may end up losing this deal because I now have 8 days to complete this. Probably isn't happening. But we're going to give it our old college try. So really, what's the difference? You probably don't hear very often the phrase stick-built home, but it is that's your regular built from the ground up house that is out there. A modular home is going to be a house that is built in a factory to stick-built quality. And so it comes off the line. It's built on a wood base, and it is built to stick-built standards. So it comes off the line, and they pick it up by a crane and put it onto a flatbed, and then the flatbed truck drives that off to the lot that it's going onto. It comes out of the factory in 3 or more sections. Generally, it is 2 halves, and the roof is how it comes out. But because of the size of the home, it can come out in 3, 4, 5, 6, several sections, because they can do these modulars as 2-story homes as well. The modular home also does not have any HUD tags on it. And so that is another way that you can determine whether you have a stick-built house, a modular house, or a manufactured home. A manufactured home is going to be built oftentimes in the exact same factory where the modular home is being built. The big difference is that a manufactured home is built on a steel chassis, and it is built up from there. And when it comes off the line, they put axles and wheels and a tongue on it, and then the front end of the semi backs up, hooks it up, and drives it away like that, right? So it's not on a flatbed. It is on its own wheels. Then when it gets to the land, they expertly back it in and assemble them on the pier and post is the usual foundation system. There are single wides, there are double wides, there are triple wides, and I just saw my first quad manufactured home on an appraisal the other day. So very cool house, 3,300 square feet. What? Very cool house. So the important thing to understand, though, is that these manufactured homes are going to come out with tags on them, HUD tags, and I'll go into that in a minute. Then there's mobile homes, and in my world, a mobile home is a home that is pre-HUD. It was built prior to June 15, 1976, which was when HUD put the line in the sand. everything built after this date must meet our minimum standards. Now think about it. 40 years later, the homes are a lot better condition, built to much stricter requirements than a 76. I pray that HUD never makes that line go higher, because then Kathy's going to get a whole lot more loans. Sorry, Kath. Then there's the trailers, the RV kind of thing. Land ownership. Fee simple, individual land ownership is the kind of loan that I can do. So there are manufactured homes, think out in Valley Center, sitting on an acre or so of land that are on permanent foundations. They're the house, right? Then there's the PUDs, planned unit development. And there are a bunch of parks in and around North San Diego County that are PUD land ownership. What that means in a manufactured home community is that the house and the land it's sitting on is truly owned by the owner. And then they have a common interest ownership in like the pools, the community halls, the gates, all those things. That's their common interest. And then there's the condominium land ownership. And this is where the land is owned as condominium. Now, of course, we're not stacking manufactured homes one on top of another like you would normally think of a condominium. This has to do with density. It allows the developer to not have to follow the city or county codes and setbacks and in how far away from another house that a house can be set. So when a developer purchases a land to do a manufactured home park, they will do condominium more often than not because of basically density rules. Then there's the leasehold co-op and rental parks. And Kathy, you do, nod your head, I think you do co-ops, yes?
I do co-ops as long as they sign the co-op form to cooperate with a lender.
Love it. Thank you. I cannot do co-ops. So leasehold co-op and rental parks, that's where they go off to Kathy. Things to note. The home has to have been built and remain on the permanent foundation and chassis. So when the home gets to the land, they can't be ripping the steel undercarriage off of that home and put it down on cement. That doesn't work that way. Seriously, people, a manufactured home is built the way that it's built for a good reason. So well, I've seen them, and this is just not a lendable situation. Has to be served by permanent water and sewer facilities. One thing that I have been doing lately, and it's real interesting because I can do construction for manufactured homes. So I'm getting a lot of hamul, actually, where people are going out there. Why? But and they're building manufactured homes on land out there. But to get electrical service out that far, it's extraordinarily costly. So they're doing solar with a backup generator, not connecting to public utility, and having well and septic. And we're getting those approved through Fannie Mae. So that's something to understand, that if you've got buyers who would like to build their own homes and they're willing to go way out there and stay basically off grid, as long as they have a generator that is powered by propane, it's allowable. So the entire property has to be classified as real estate. So the towing hitch or running gear has to have been removed, so do the wheels. Those have to come off too. The axles can stay on, but generally when they take the wheels off, they take the axles too. The structural integrity has to have been maintained during transportation. It has to be sufficiently anchored, supported, and must be stable. It has to come straight from the factory to the property address. So this cannot, I just had one of these questions this year, was I have a really nice mobile home sitting in a rental park that I'd like to disassemble and buy some land and put it on there. No, you cannot do that. These homes are not intended to be built, put together, torn apart, transported, and put back together again. They're strong, they're not that strong. So it has to come from the factory to the property address, or it's not lendable. All manufactured homes must have an affixed HUD seal on the outside of the home, and each unit has to have the seal. It has to have been built after June 15, 1976 because of the line in the sand, and the home must be erected on a permanent foundation in compliance with HUD guidelines. In our area, most often that is posts and piers. And so whenever your buyer is using FHA, it does require an engineer's certification to indicate that it is in compliance with HUD's permanent foundation guide. And I'm actually going to show you a sample of what that looks like in a minute. Structural modifications can put the home at risk if they were not done and performed in accordance with the HUD manufactured home construction safety standards. So if the appraiser observes changes to the original home, like adding a carport later, or connecting a garage, or an awning, or a porch, or a deck, or a, I don't know what else it would be, sometimes we will need to get a certification by an engineer indicating that the structural changes or additions were made in accordance to the HUD guidelines, because we have to, you know, they're just not stick-built homes, right? And so we need to make sure that by adding this thing to the structure, you're not weakening the structure. So sometimes we will need to get those. Now, oftentimes, different lenders will always require this. So it's really, it can be a lender overlay. So I get a lot of questions from realtors saying they picked another lender, they're requiring a structural inspection. Do they have to do that? I'm like, well, yeah, if the lender requires it, you're not going to get around it. So that's not the case necessarily in every situation, but lenders can ask for it. This is one thing that crops up from time to time, and Abra knows this: new construction, under construction, existing properties less than 1 year old, and the permanent foundation system installed less than 1 year, all will have additional restrictions based on the loan types. Other things to note is that when they are located within condominium projects, we have to get project approval. So the home has to meet all the home requirements, but then if they're getting a VA loan, then there will be VA park approval needed. FHA requires HUD park approval. Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac require PERS approval. PERS stands for Project Eligibility Review Service, and it's Fannie Mae handles condo approvals. Freddie Mac just follows their lead on that. And Kathy already hit this, but the buyer's agent should use the California Manufactured Home Purchase Agreement and Joint Escrow Instructions. That's the MHPA. Make sure that Section 1F is filled out. F is the real property with the manufactured home. And then indicate the manufacturer name, model, date, blah, blah, blah. Y'all can read it. Listing agent should make this information available to the buyer's agent. And Kathy, you did a great job with that, because seriously, just ask your escrow agent to pull an HCD, provide it to you when you list the property, and then upload it into the notes, or there's some additions that you can put in into the Paragon on the MLS. And so get that stuff uploaded. If you already have a 433, either a C or an A, I'll explain that in a minute, upload that too. The more the merrier, people. The more often that you can get information about this, the better. Disinformation or lack of information just slows everything down. So faster is better. And if structural or foundation inspections are required, make sure that you indicate who will pay for these. It's page 3, number 7A. And then also use the manufactured home transfer disclosure statement. Shocking to me how few people put that in. So I'll see the RPA, and then I'll see I'll see the MHRPA, and then a regular TDS. Certainly they have to print off together, don't they? But let's use the same documents as intended. And then any addendums. Oh, and if we're doing an FHA or a VA loan, please make sure that you also print off and include the FHA VA amendatory clause, and make sure that if you've been going through counter offers to prices, that the finished price is the one that is showing up in that form, even if you have to have everybody initial it. But that document I actually have to have before I can order an appraisal. And that's because there's protections in place for the veteran or the FHA buyer as to what happens if the home doesn't appraise for the sales price. So looky, this is what the HUD label looks like. It's usually found at the rear left corner of each section of the home. So if it's a double wide, there will be 2. If it's a triple wide, there will be 3, etc., so forth. This red is often not red in older homes, and it will also get washed out as with wind, rain, and then we will also find out many times that homeowners will either side over them, they will take them off, they will hide them, and they will try to pretend that they have a real house there or a modular house. And I mean, we can get this information elsewhere, but if the appraiser doesn't see it, then we have to go get additional information. If they do see it, they're required to take a picture of each one that is out there. This is the HCD decal. It's generally at the front of every home, usually on the right-hand corner. And every California home is assigned a decal. This is what it looks like. If the home is a pre-HUD home built prior to June 15, 1976, I know you were saying that with me, it'll have an HCD tag similar to this one. And the serial number begins with MH. And so that's a mobile home, okay? So if you see that instead of this, whoa, it doesn't really matter. It's a pre-HUD home. So there's a data plate, and this is an older home. This one was built in, looks like 2001. The 2020 data plate looks a little bit different than this, but it still has all of the same information on it. And when you're listing a home, ask for it. If they don't know what you're asking for, then go sleuth it out. In older homes, like 80 and older, they used to put them inside of kitchen cabinets. Why, one would ask. In the 80s, they would start putting them underneath the kitchen sink. Stupid place for it, because this is just a piece of paper. And so when people would have plumbing problems, they'd get under there and go, oh, it's wet, rip it off, throw it away, and that's a problem. Other places that they are found in the laundry room, where the hot water heater is, where the furnace is. We also, One of the appraisers recently also just found it in the master bedroom closet. It was on a newer home. And many times the homeowner just has no clue as to how important this is, but they may have taken it off the wall because they were painting, and they may have put it with their important house papers. So sleuth it out, try to find it, because for my loans, I have to have the proof that this document is in the home. And Kathy, you too? Do you need this one?
No, I don't necessarily need the data plate, but I do need to see that the decals are on the house. If the decal's not on the house, because the appraiser is required to take a picture of it. If it's not, we can't do it.
Okay. So you can't do it at all?
Not without the plates on there. I mean, this data
Wow.
plate is one thing, but to legally sell a mobile or manufacturer, you're supposed to have those on there.
Yes, so these HUD labels are really important. Now, if they are missing, then for me, either the data plate or the label are missing, then I can order an IBTS, and we will, because every manufactured home built in the United States is put into the national database for manufactured homes. Institute for Building Technology and Safety keeps this database for the data plate, which is the piece of paper, and the HUD label, which is the license plate. And so we are, if these are missing on our homes that we are lending on, we will just turn to IBTS to get this information from them. So all of these, like I said, off of the IBTS, this is the information that IBTS will have. And the cost is $50 to $175, depending on how fast you need it, how much information we need, and how, there's rushes, there's by mail, give me a break, nobody does mail. And so I did have to, and I don't know if the realtor's on this training or not, but one time I had to send a realtor underneath the house because the serial number was not found anywhere except on the steel I-beam underneath. And so I love this guy, crawled under the crawl space and took his phone and took a picture of it, and off of that we were then able to order the IBTS. This is the HCD title search, or a sample of it, and this is where Kathy had indicated that this is a really, really good thing. If you will look at this, this is the state of California's database of all manufactured homes that have landed here in the state of California. So we pull these, especially if there is no 433A recorded with the county. And the reason why, and if you could see me pointing, I'd be pointing at, you see Archibald's name there? The last title date canceled, last registration card canceled, and the sale transfer information is on there. That's really an important thing that I'm looking for, besides the serial number, HUD label, length, width, and all of that that's on there. I'm looking to make sure that if we have a 433A, that the HCD title has been canceled, which means that it's been the chattel, the license for the personal property has been returned to the state, because now it's being treated as real property. And I'm also looking to make sure that there are no lingering loans that are assigned to this personal property. Because it was a long time ago now, but we looked and we saw that the owner that was selling the home that did the 433A had a $52,000-ish loan on the personal property home. And when they did they did a mortgage, but the mortgage did not pay off that loan. So had we not pulled this, had we not inquired, our seller would have walked away with $52,000 more, but our buyer would have then had a house with a lien against it for a loan that wouldn't have been theirs and would have created cloudy title when they went to go sell it again. So this is a really critical document. Unfortunately, not all escrow companies can pull these. And so if you are taking a listing and you check with your favorite escrow officer and you ask them if they're able to pull an HCD, if the answer is no, would you please call me and I will help direct you to an escrow company that can do this, because unfortunately several times now we have had to switch escrow companies midstream, mid-transaction, in order to be able to handle the sale of the homes. This is a
Cheryl,
sample. Yes, ma'am. You want me to go back?
just real quick. Right now on all my estimated HUDs, it costs $35 now.
Oh, what?
But HCD title, it went up to 35, yeah.
Thank you. I will change that. Thank you very much. So this is a copy of a 433C, and it suspiciously looks like a 433A because it's the exact same form, except you can see down where I have circled in red, it says 433C. And so it just cracks me up because when I ask escrow to provide a copy of the recorded 433A, they'll often send me this. And I'm like, okay, where's the 433A? And they're like, you have it. And I'm like, I have a C. And they're like, what's the difference? Ta-da, we may have the wrong escrow company involved in this. And so what this means is, hey, county, I would like to be taxed as real property. And so I'm not going to do the foundation system. I'm not going to eliminate my title. I just want you to treat me like I have a house on fee simple land and tax me as such. And so that's when this is recorded. But this is insufficient for my lending purposes, and here's why. When they don't do the foundation system, that means that they are not permanently attached to the foundation system underneath the home. Actually, it's this way. And so let's say that they get ornery about how things are going in their park, in their life, in their divorce, right? So fill in the blank there. And they decide, it's my house, I'm going to take it. If you are not permanently attached to the foundation system, then literally you can unattach that home. You can put wheels and axles and a tongue back on it and drive that puppy off the lot, which is problematic for lenders because we have to make sure that we have a house and land, not just land and foundation system. That's what we're lending on. So when we see a 433C, my next phone call is, hey, who's paying for the 433A? And that's what this form is. And this is, it's installed on a foundation system. That means that the posts and piers now have been bolted or welded to the foundation underneath the home. Those I-beams and all of the steel undercarriage, they are now permanently attached. And can you unattach bolts? Yes. Is it a lot harder, a lot more work? Yes. And that's the intent, is to slow everybody down. But when this form, 433A, is the one that's recorded, this is when you're going to see on your taxes a home price and land price will show up on your county property taxes then. Whereas with a C, all you're going to do still is get, it'll just, Well, it'll have some times, it will have a home there, but not all times. It's really weird. Welcome to San Diego. This is what the foundation certificate looks like from the engineer. And it identifies in there, you can see it sort of, the big bold, the HUD Publication Permanent Foundation Guide. So it says, yep, the house meets the requirements. And so, and I put that last little paragraph, that's not the only certification that we need, it's this one, and then an engineer structural cert. And so oftentimes we will have this on the same form. And if y'all aren't using On the Level, shame on you, use On the Level for this stuff, because they are just the, I don't know, Superman in the industry for all foundation systems, all foundation engineers, anything related to mobile and manufactured homes. That's them. So this says that I have checked out this home and the wood frame garage is self-supporting, the aluminum carport's attached, it's not hurting the structure, everything complies. So that's the structural cert. The manufactured home appraisal is called a 1004C. And so if we erroneously do not indicate that a home is a manufactured home up front, because you're trying to sneak it through on an RPA instead of an MHRPA, not calling out any realtors here, but the appraiser's going to figure it out as soon as he gets to the home and he looks in the crawl space. Or because that, you know, people tear those labels off, people take off the data plates, but the structure of the home is still that of a manufactured home. And so when it's time for an appraisal, make sure he's got the data necessary. Have that HCD available. Have the 433 available. There is another section of the appraisal. So if the home is on condo land, then they're going to have to fill out that information as well. So if you have any access to HOA docs, please send them over or give them to the appraiser along with comps. Here's the types of loans that I can do on manufactured homes. For primary residence, 95%, so only 5% down. Second or vacation home requires 10%. And then my buy-for loan is called an elderly parent loan. So, I'm sorry. In order for, that's my manager, in order for us to be able to have you buy a manufactured home for someone else, that person has to be an adult child buying for their parent, not their grandparent, only one generation higher, or an adult child who is disabled. And so that's all you can buy for someone else in my world. And that's only if it's a conventional loan. And that we treat as a primary residence. So even though we know you're not living in there, we get documentation to prove that this is going to be for your elderly parent or your disabled child. And the documentation is just getting a copy of their Social Security award letters, because then we can see they really can't afford this home and that you as the adult child are doing it for them. We have the FHA loans. You have to occupy that property as your primary residence. And if it's in an approved park for FHA, they only have to put 3.5% down of the purchase price. For VA, in an approved VA park, primary residence, you don't have to put anything down, 100% loan to value. The HECM, the Home Equity Conversion Mortgage, also known as reverse mortgage, are allowed only in FHA approved parks. Prime Lending does not do reverse mortgages at this time, but I have great friends who do. The LTV is dependent on the youngest borrower's age on that. So this is a document that I keep up to date at all times. This is the manufactured home parks in San Diego County. And so this top of the page, and I do email this out to people, realtors who have requested it. And so anytime I update it, I'll send it out to everybody. And I just had updated it last week in preparation for this class and have not sent it out yet. Shame on me. Anyway, so these are the PUDs, planned unit developments. And you can see that in these parks, FHA and VA are okay, but conventional, Fannie Mae requires that PUD parks get approved for Fannie Mae loans. Only Freddie Mac breaks off from Fannie Mae as far as PUDs are concerned in 55 and up parks. And so oftentimes I will be asked to cross-qual buyers in parks to make sure that the lender, I'm looking at the buyer stuff too, but I'm quizzing the lender because not all lenders can do these. And so what I ask them is send me the copy of the application, a copy of their automated underwriting system, AUS decision. I'm not leading them on here. I'm not asking for a DU or an LPA. DU is Fannie Mae's, LPA is Freddie Mac's version. I just say, get me your AUS. And they almost always come over as DU. And DU is Fannie Mae. And I know that if they're buying in these parks, they're never going to close at Fannie Mae, and which is going to stop everything midstream, actually more towards the end when they're going in for final approval. And then the underwriter is going to go, well, hang on here, you've got to switch this over to Freddie. Or this isn't approvable with Fannie because the park isn't approved. So I will tell the lenders at that point, here's the rules. This is how you're going to get that loan closed. Flip it to Freddie right now and save yourself a whole lot of headaches later. So, and I think that's one of the reasons that realtors put me on their listings, to just make sure that these things are going to go through smoothly. This is part of the condo land ownership parks. What I do is I keep this up to date. As you can see, Madrid Manor does not have an FHA approval. La Moria Estates is not FHA approved. And please tell me why San Marcos View Estates won't get VA approved. Honest to Pete's. Somebody can go arm twist them. Park Encinitas in Encinitas, we have and have submitted their documents off to Fannie Mae for approval. We are awaiting the return of that. So right now I am allowing buyers to write offers in Park Encinitas because I know within the next 3 weeks, which would be an acceptable escrow timeline, we will get park approval. I have talked them into submitting for VA. They will not do FHA, period, end of story. I'm done talking to them about that. So shortly, hopefully, within the next month or so, there's more documents needed for VA, but hopefully we'll be able to offer that as well. You will see Rancho Carlsbad, which is where I live, does not have Fannie Mae approval. Our park is in arbitration. We are hoping for, oh, and I spelled February wrong, whoops. And so we are hoping that we were pushed back from May to August to September to December for our arbitration hearing. It's going to take about a quarter further past the decision, if it is favorable, for Fannie Mae to reapprove us, I would expect, for the conventional lending again. Now, Kathy can lend in Rancho Carlsbad. Kathy, can you unmute yourself, though, because I do have a question that I didn't have the answer to. Are you able to lend on flood land in there?
Absolutely. They need flood insurance, though.
Yeah, well, they would for me too. But so in Encinitas and Champaign Village, those are two parks that do have lots that have flood insurance on them, spaces. And so they are in flood zones. And so as you can see with Champaign Village, I can do all loans in there and do. But if it is a flood lot, I cannot do FHA. FHA will not do flood, a loan on flood lots. So, and Solomar says they're in the process of getting reapproved. They're doing it themselves. And then this is the rest of the list. It was a little too long to fit on the one couple of pages. Fallbrook's good, Rancho Montserrat, love that place. Vista, their PERS expired, and I don't see that they're in the works to get that redone again. You'll notice there were some asterisks there. The asterisk meant that it's a family park with no age restrictions. And Kathy, you did a really good job explaining that 55 and up. Thanks for doing that. The only other thing that I'd say is it's a yeah, but with ages, because if your buyer needs to have in-home care, the care provider can be any age and the park cannot stop them. All right, so that's important to understand. They will have to have a doctor's slip indicating that it is a requirement in order to have an in-home daycare, or in-home care. But the age restrictions do not apply, just as if they have restrictions for dogs, service animals cannot be exempted from that, unless maybe it's like a horse, right? If the park isn't listed there, it's because it's on leased or co-op land, and that's why Kathy gets so many referrals from me. So here's something that's new. The accessory dwelling units are just all the rage, right? And I have been receiving so many calls of, we have a house, we want to put an affordable ADU back there, and the county will let us get a permit for a manufactured home. And up until September 4th, my reply to them was, don't do that. You're not going to be able to finance that house again, because in the past, a stick-built or modular home and manufactured home as an ADU was not lendable in a takeout loan, right? And for the last year and a half, VA would allow it. But let's just say somebody's got to sell their home. They lost their job. They decided to move out of state. Like, that's not happening. And all of a sudden now they've got to sell this house for cash because the financing options just weren't there for them. That did change on September 4th. And so now Fannie Mae is, not Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae is allowing a main house and a manufactured home, as long as that manufactured home has a 433A, permanent affixation to the foundation system, okay? So they can't be rolling that puppy back off the land again. It's got to be a permanent addition, and I can do that in a construction loans. And so this is a chart that's important to understand. If you have a single family home as your primary and you want to put a manufactured as your ADU, we're good. If it's a modular primary and a manufactured ADU, we're good. If it's a manufactured primary and you want to put a modular or still stick-built ADU, we're still good. But you cannot do a manufactured primary and a manufactured ADU on the same parcel of land. There are no loans out there for multiple manufactured homes on the same parcel. And are you in agreement with that, Kath?
Absolutely. I can't find anyone that will do it.
Okay. All right. So, yes, don't do that. That's called cash. So I am absolutely positive that you're going to want to take a screenshot of that. Ooh, look how much shorter my hair was back then. This is COVID hair, people. And we are happy to, and I have to do this for legal reasons. Okay, we all read that. So now, ooh, look here. So, do new windows need an engineer cert? And can I see the new construction slide again in a minute, Brenda? The new windows do not. No, because you're just replacing what was already there. It's when you add things to the structure that could weaken the structure. And so the question, would you send us a copy of the slide presentation? I'm going to have to check with Shirley at NSDCAR and see how we're going to do that. Can we do USDA loans for these types of homes? USDA has a lot of restrictions in place for manufactured homes, and up until the last, maybe year and a half, they didn't even allow them. And so, yes, with restrictions, and there's a lot of restrictions as to age and size and permanent foundation system, and I'm mentally trying to go through all the USDA rules, and I can't. So Diana, we can touch base later if you want to. And then why is it that a manufactured as primary cannot have another manufactured ADU? It's because nobody will securitize that loan. It's just, Fannie is now okay with one and the other, but not both being manufactured. So you can have a stick-built, primary stick-built ADU, and we're good. You have a manufactured primary, manufactured ADU, ain't happening. And so Shirley says, if we email her our PowerPoint, she will email out to all attendees. I'm fine with doing that, but I am going to ask for you guys to not play lender. All right, so don't say, well, this is all it says on here, so therefore Cheryl can't do it. That's not true. Understand that all underwriting rules have yeah buts, exceptions. And so don't take everything there as black and white, it's all we can do. It's not true. And obviously, manufactured being a big section of my business is not 100% of my business. So I can do regular houses, I can do condos, I can do lending in, the whole country. I am not limited to only manufactured homes. Kathy, do you do any stick-built stuff?
I don't. I can, but I choose not to. I just do mobile and manufactured. We've got 34 in escrow right now. I closed one yesterday, and I stay busy, so I refer them back to you.
There you go. Awesome. And do I do ADU construction loans? I do. So that's a cool thing. And so, okay, Brenda, you'll be getting the PowerPoint slides. All right, let's see, it's 11:19, and if we have no other questions, I have a burning Save Me manufactured home loan that is sitting on my desk waiting for me to get to it. And so you guys have our contact information. I would love, love, love to hear from you, to be able to assist you, assist your buyers, and even assist your sellers, because we have a lot of sellers who take their homes off the market with the assumption or the hope that the lender that the buyer has chosen is going to be able to perform. And so we don't want to leave anybody hanging, especially in this hot of a market. So use a lender, use us. Let's just say there, let's use us, and get your buyers into the homes that they want to buy. Get your sellers out of the homes they want to sell, and do it in a way that will be less painful to them than what it could be by going elsewhere. And there are really good lenders. Let me get that straight. There are other great lenders who also do manufactured home loans, but they're not on this this presentation. Ha! So send them to us. That's what we're here for. All right. Thank you, everybody, for the kind words. And we are always available for additional questions, for sure. Shirley, do you have anything else you want to say?
If anything, I just want to say thank you, everybody,
Great
for coming.
presentation, and thank you.
Hey, okay, Shirley, hang on. Kathy's talking. Sorry.
Just real quick, I want to thank everybody for coming. Always give me a call, 1-800-520-3191. I'm available Monday through Friday on the phones, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sometimes on Saturdays, you'll catch me as well. And always send me an email if you need anything after hours, of course. And always great working with Cheryl. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. All right, yay. Thanks, everybody. We're, Shirley, I think we're done.
All right, bye, everybody.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye-bye.